Hi everybody, I'm Rebecca Keppel and I am back for day 7 of 12 Crafts of Christmas. This is a gift card inside a lift the flap card design. I realized that it is not day 7 of December. It's actually quite a bit after that. I am not going to stress about that. I don't want you to stress about what time it is in December. So we're just going to keep going until we're done with 12 days. So let's get started on this card. Okay, here's most of the stuff that I'm going to use for this card. I have a 6x6 paper pad from Fawn. This is the Coffee Time stamp and matching die from Waffle Flower. I also have a Lift the Flap die from Fawn, which cuts on 3 sides and scores on the 4th. I'm going to grab a couple of pieces of pattern paper out of my 6x6 pad, and I'm going to stamp that Waffle Flower Coffee Time stamp with VERSAFINE pigment ink on top of that pattern paper. The reason that I like to use VERSAFINE when I'm stamping on pattern paper is because it is a pigment ink. It sits on top, so you get a nice, clear, crisp black impression. Even though it is competing with the pattern paper or the color underneath, it still looks crisp and black. Okay, I'm going to cut out a rectangle of pattern paper from one of the smaller Fawn stitched rectangles dies, and I want this pattern paper to be straight in the pattern, but when I run that through my Sizzix machine straight like that, sometimes it doesn't cut every edge. It kind of bumps over one of the edges. So that's why I did run it back and forth. Now I have the Lift the Flap die. I'm going to temporarily adhere it in the middle of that rectangle with some Thermoweb purple tape. This time I can angle it, so I only have to run it through once. And that is going to cut 3 sides and score that 4th side there. So that will be our flap that we're going to lift. Now I'm ready to cut out the little coffee cups. I'm going to again use Thermoweb's purple tape to temporarily adhere down my die onto the pattern paper and over that stamped image and just run that through. And isn't that coffee cut so cute? I just love that little stamp and matching die. Super, super cute. I'm also going to cut it out of a contrasting piece of pattern paper because I want to cut out the sleeve and I want that to be a fun Christmas color. So there's my white with some little snowflakes on it and then a red pattern paper. I do want to reinforce that score line on my flap while I'm thinking about it, so I'm using my Teflon bone folder just to go over the score line and then just to really fold it down so that it lifts up and down really easily without any problems. I'm going to cut out a few more rectangles using the Fawn stitched rectangles dies and a couple of different pieces of pattern paper. I'm going to have one that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to have a couple that are smaller. You can see that I have a green piece of pattern paper that's the same size as my flap rectangle. Now I'm going to fussy cut out that little piece of red pattern paper, and I'm going to go right to the edge of that black line. I don't mind it not having the edge on the outside because the white cup will still have that edge. So there you go. That's really, really cute. Makes a little Christmas cup. And now I'm going to use some Gina K Designs for Thermoweb dot roller adhesive to adhere down my little coffee sleeve on top, and I absolutely love that little coffee cup. Now I'm going to start layering everything up, and hopefully it will make more sense now. So this is going to be a horizontal card, 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 tall. Here's that rectangle that's the same size as the rectangle that the flap is cut out of. I just wanted a different color when you lift the flap to see inside. I have an 8 1/2 by 11 piece of white cardstock that I cut in half, and I'm scoring that in half. This is going to be a top folding horizontal note card. Okay, now we're ready to adhere my flap, and I don't want to put any adhesive on the flap itself, just on that little border on the outside there. So you can do all 4 sides, but just the little border above the score line and on the outside of the cut edge. I'm going to line that up with the green pattern paper underneath, and that kind of gives it an unexpected look when you lift that flap. It's got that different color in there, which I think is really, really cute. I'm just using the dot roller adhesive just a little bit on the gift card to hold it in place. They'll still be able to peel it up without ruining the card, so don't worry about that. And now I'm ready to adhere my little coffee cup, which I am going to do with some foam tape. Just pop that up. Between the weight of the coffee cup and the foam tape, it really helps to keep the flap kind of weighted down a little bit, so I like that. Okay, and that's the whole card panel pretty much. I do want to adhere this onto our top folding 5.5 by 4.25 card base. I like using white card bases. This way I can still write a nice message on the inside, and they'll have the gift on the outside as well. The last thing I wanted to do was have a little sentiment there, so I did grab the Tiny Tags stamp set and the little matching dies to cut out a little speech bubble and then stamp a little Merry Christmas on the inside of that. I am going to use my heat tool on it because the VERSAFINE does take a little while to dry, and I didn't want to smudge it as I was applying it to that card there. I'm going to peel off some foam tape and just pop up that speech bubble next to my little coffee card, and that's it. It's really quick and easy, especially with the die that cuts out the flap. I think that just makes it so easy to create a whole bunch of these cards if you're giving them to neighbors or teachers. There's just so many easy ways to create this. You wouldn't even have to do all the layers that we did here. You could definitely just do 1 or 2 and it would still be as cute. So if you're interested in the supplies that I used today, they'll all be linked down below. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel here and check out my blog for more information, and I'll have a couple of other videos from the 12 crafts of Christmas that you might be interested in. I want to thank you so much for stopping by today. Have a wonderful day.